guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. It's your girl Alicia Nicole. We are officially a third-year med student, and it is the first day of my very first clinical or clerkship. I'm starting on family medicine, so I have to be really quick. It's 7:42 now, so I have a little time. I'm just really excited to be starting this portion of the journey. I know it's going to be really hard work, but I'm excited to really start interacting with patients. Basically, the way I plan to structure the videos for my clerkships is I'm going to do like a first day, first impressions, a day in the life, and a study methods all in the same video. So anyway, let's get going.
So we spent the morning doing a quick review of things that we would be likely to see while on family medicine, which included common skin lesions as well as common sports injuries. And then we also spent some time working on our skin biopsy skills. So we did shave biopsies, punch biopsies, as well as suture practice for closing up some of the wounds that we might create when doing some of these biopsies. So I enjoyed that because I really like procedural things, and it was good to just review how to do it, because sometimes suturing can be really awkward, just maneuvering your hands and tying the knot and everything.
So it is currently 1:10 p.m. We actually finished up basically with the morning's activities around noon. I just had lunch and I've been talking to my husband, but I really probably should be doing some practice questions or anki. And you're probably thinking like, oh, it's the first day, relax. But with how many practice questions there are to get through in the module or in the clerkship, I actually do need to start doing questions like today. I think we finished up around 5:35, 5:40 maybe. I kind of need to sit down and focus my thoughts to figure out what I want to do with the rest of the day. I know there are things I need to do. I certainly want to do a few more practice questions, probably should do some anki, and then it's kind of up in the air. But first I'm going to get home, probably get a snack, head to my exercise class. All right, y'all, so it is 7:52. I'll make dinner, and then I'm gonna like kind of look at my schedule and put everything on my Google Calendar. All right, y'all, I don't know what's taking me so long, but I'm gonna get going. So it is 6:30 on the dot, and I'm here in the parking lot. So you guys are gonna think I'm so lame, but honestly, I just stay in my car to study, even though there is a student room inside the clinic for us. I actually learned that I really study best when I'm talking out loud, especially if I'm learning new material. And it takes me significantly longer to learn something new when I'm not talking out loud. I'm gonna do this until about 7:30 or 7:40.
usually do right before clinic is I will look up the patients that are scheduled for that day, and I'll just look up anything I need to on their cases just to make sure that I'm better prepared for any questions that my attending might ask, and also when I'm interacting with the patients. But if I have just like a break in the schedule like I did here, then I'll just work on practice questions until one of the patients comes in. So I usually have opportunities to do that pretty frequently during clinic.
All right, so I got out of clinic around 11:30 or 11:40. It's now 12, and I'm just gonna spend this time studying, honestly, while I eat my lunch. Now, and I'm leaving clinic. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about just the general structure of the day when I get home. I know there wasn't really a ton that I was able to show you just because I didn't want to make any violations. I definitely wasn't going to be recording in any patient rooms, but I'll give you a little recap of the day. But to be leaving around 4:30 is pretty typical, even though most of the time the last patient is scheduled for 3:45. My longest days have been getting out around 5. That's only happened like a handful of times. So yeah. Alright, so I want to give you just the general rundown of the day. So basically, there's AM clinic and there's PM clinic, and most of the time we are assigned for both AM and PM. For the most part, whoever I'm with usually lets me go in the room first, get the visit started, do whatever I think is necessary, get a history, and then come and present to them. The morning was pretty relaxed. I didn't mind though. I got through I think 30 AAFP practice questions, so I only have 10 left. I didn't really get through very much anki. I had the 1 hour lunch break, and then this afternoon I was with a different preceptor. So you do the AM and PM clinics with different people. So yeah, that's pretty much how clinic goes. It's the time when you are just learning how to do a focused exam, learning to get really good at knowing the pertinent positives. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get going. I think that's pretty much the basic structure of the day. Later, or maybe another day, I will talk to you guys just about how I study, what I do, what resources I use, just to give you a sense of what that looks like. Now, we just like to go to the rec center on my school's campus. Like I said earlier, we've been playing racquetball recently, so that's what we're about to do. Probably play for like
we usually play
an
for about an hour.
Okay, let's get our equipment. I'm not getting those glasses. I might regret it though. We had to stop by the store. We played probably until like 7. Stop by the store. Now it's 8. We're getting some dinner together.
So typically I spend the end of the day working on whatever aquifer cases I need to complete, or finishing up practice questions or anki. This day it didn't necessarily end the way it should have. I honestly shouldn't have laid down on the couch, but as you can see, those blinks are getting longer and longer, and I just ended up falling asleep, and that was the end of that day.
What's up, guys? So it is Wednesday, July 19th. This is the second to last week of my family medicine, and today I'm going to just kind of talk about the resources I've been using, how I've been studying, how things are going, my general schedule for a day, and just how things are different this year. So let's start with what resources I have been using. So I've used Amboss, I've used Aquifer. Aquifer is one I had never heard of before. It's one that was purchased by our school and made available to us. I've been using the AAFP, which is the American Academy of Family Physicians, I believe. They have, if you set up a student account, you have access to like 1,300 board review style questions. I've been using UWorld, and did I already say Anki? I don't know, but Anki is Old Faithful. So let's talk about how I've been using them. So I've been using Amboss primarily just as a resource for quick references. They do have a question bank, and I have some classmates that use it, but I do not use it. But it's fantastic for quick references. So like, one thing that you're gonna notice is very different is in your first 2 years, you're gonna learn generic names for drugs. And that's the case on Sketchy if you're a Sketchy person. In clinic, more often than not, they're using brand names, and so a lot of times you'll hear them mention something and it sounds unfamiliar, but it's something you actually know, you just learned it by a different name. So for example, Wegovy, and I was like, Wegovy, what is a Wegovy? Well, Wegovy is semaglutide, and semaglutide is a GLP-1. So as long as you know what that is, now you're there, you know what it does. The other thing is, if I'm about to go into a patient room and I'm pretty much familiar with the management of whatever it is they have, but I need a refresher, Amboss is really good for that as well. You could pretty much look up anything. You can look up, say, asthma, or asthma management, and it'll have a really like succinct chart for the different categories of asthma, what you use to treat, and how you add on to the regimen. And it has that for pretty much any condition. So if you just need a quick refresher of like, okay, what category does this person fall into? So what does that mean we need to do? It's really easy to access that on Amboss. Aquifer Calibrate is one that I probably wouldn't have gotten for myself. I just never heard of it, and I don't necessarily learn from virtual patient cases, and that's what it is. So I think I showed you this in one of my earlier clips, but it walks you through a virtual patient case, and theoretically it makes sense. Like it's a cool resource, but it just doesn't necessarily work with my learning style. So the membership itself, I wouldn't get it again. But because I'm an Anki person, I found an Anki deck that goes with all of the Aquifer family medicine cases. So I kind of go through the cases kind of quickly, but then I use those Anki decks to try to actually learn and digest that material. AAFP. So I've heard like mixed reviews from students at my school. So I started off this clerkship probably in the first 2, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, focusing more heavily on the AAFP questions. Like I was doing 40 of those a day, and then maybe 10 UWorld questions a day. Let me backtrack. So one thing about Aquifer that's actually really new is they have this thing called Aquifer Calibrate, which is just like there's UWorld assessments, there's NBMEs. It's another one of those assessments to see how ready the system thinks you are for the shelf. We did 2 assessments. I did one either last week or a week and a half ago, and then another one today. A week and a half ago, my overall performance was in the like behind schedule basically. So like you're not on track for where you should be at this point, and I was really worried. But the last maybe week and a half, I've been actually doing much more UWorld questions, and I haven't really done a lot of AAFP questions. Like every day I've been doing UWorld, and today my assessment, I was up in the green, which is like you're on track to do well with the shelf. So that brings me into why I like UWorld. I think UWorld is very great at showing you things multiple times in multiple ways, but still including a lot of the same hints and patterns that are supposed to point you towards a certain diagnosis. And I just felt like I wasn't getting that clear clinical picture when it came to AAFP. So in terms of Anki, for the most part, I'm just using it to learn all the material that's in the Aquifer cases. I really wanted to use the Anki deck because a lot of people say it's effective, but the Aquifer cases have so many Anki cards that I just don't have enough time to get through that, plus anything else in the day. So I don't know if that's gonna come back to bite me, but so that's it for resources. Weekends aren't horrible. I find I do still have a good amount of stuff to get done on the weekends, mostly because I try to do other things that weren't done during the week. So like working on research projects, doing any household chores, going shopping, meal prepping, that kind of stuff. But there is plenty of time to do those kinds of things on the weekends. I don't find that like my weekend is just like overrun by school and studying. Generally, I'd say about 3 times a week, we're able to get out and get to the rec center and do like an hour's worth of physical activity, maybe 3 or 4 times, I'll say. Overall thoughts on family medicine. So I've enjoyed it. I think there are pros and cons to having it as your first rotation. The cons will be that it's so broad that you're gonna feel like, oh my goodness, there's like so much I don't know and so much I need to learn in so little time. But one of the good things about it is a lot of what you do learn on family is gonna come back later, because you do a little OB, you do a little Peds, you do a little bit of like Psych. Things about it that I think also is nice is that in terms of just the clinic hours, they are closer to more traditional work hours, but there's a lot more to do and to study, I think, outside of clinic time. Because it's so broad, there's so much more to review, where it's been a good one. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed interacting with patients. All of my attendings and residents that I've worked with have been really helpful, really friendly, really great educators. So it's been a positive experience. I take my shelf exam next Friday, so today is Wednesday, so a week and 2 days from today, and I guess I will update you guys on that. But I feel like it's gonna go well. I feel, generally well prepared. So yeah, those are my thoughts on family medicine. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you in the next video.
I'm not worried that I need to help you. Let's speak more, let's preach more.